But let me now focus back towards the here and now. Some years ago, as Dr. Templeton mentioned, I wrote a short book which I entitled Our Final Century, ? My UK publishers deleted the question mark, and the American publishers then changed the title to Our Final Hour. I guess you like instant gratification and the reverse. Well, I conjectured in this book that taking all risks into account, there was only a 50% chance we'd get through to the year 2100 without some disastrous setback. The message really was this, that over most of history, threats to humanity have come from nature, disease, earthquake, floods, and so forth. But even in the concertinaed timescale of a cosmologist, extending billions of years into the future and into the past, this century is special. It's the first when one species, ours, has Earth's future in its hands and could jeopardize life's immense potential. We've entered a geological era called the Anthropocene. And this leads me to my second theme in this lecture, hopes and fears for the coming decades. The Anthropocene began with the advent of thermonuclear weapons, and they're still a threat. But devastation could also arise insidiously rather than suddenly, through unsustainable pressure on energy supplies, food, water, and other natural resources. Indeed, these pressures are the prime threats without enemies that confront us, and they'll become ever more intractable as the population rises. And the population, incidentally, has just passed 7 billion, and by 2050 it's projected to reach 9 billion. Whether the rising trend continues beyond 2050 will depend on what people now in their teens and 20s decide about the number and spacing of their children. As we know, hundreds of millions of women are denied such a choice, and enhancing the life chance of the world's poorest people by providing clean water, primary education, etc., is a humanitarian imperative and a readily achievable one, but it seems also a precondition for achieving, especially in Africa, the demographic transition that's already occurred elsewhere. Well, not only are there more of us, but we're each more demanding of resources, and pressures will grow if the developing world, where most of the population growth will be, narrows its gap with the developing world in per capita consumption, as we surely hope it will. But the pressures are great. Humans already appropriate about 40% of the world's biomass, and that fraction is rising. The resultant ecological shock could irreversibly impoverish our biosphere, and these risks are aggravated by climate change. Biodiversity is a crucial component of human well-being. We're clearly harmed if fish stocks dwindle to extinction. There are plants in the rainforest whose gene pool might be useful to us. But for many environmentalists, these instrumental and anthropocentric arguments aren't the only compelling ones. For many of us, preserving the richness of our biosphere has value in its own right, over and above what it means for us as humans. But these are the concerns, but I don't want to be too pessimistic, because despite these concerns, I think modern engineering and agriculture could sustainably provide food and energy for 9 billion people. And other advances, especially in healthcare and information technology, offer bright prospects. But there is a downside. The same technologies that promise so much also open new vulnerabilities. For instance, global society depends on elaborate networks, electricity grids, air traffic control, international finance, just-in-time delivery, and so forth. And unless these are highly resilient, their manifest benefits could be outweighed by catastrophic, albeit rare, breakdowns cascading through the system. And the threat is terror as well as error. Concern about cyber attacks by criminals or hostile nations is rising sharply. Synthetic biology, likewise, offers huge potential for medicine and agriculture, but it could facilitate bioterror. And we're kidding ourselves if we think that those with technical expertise will all be balanced and rational. expertise can be allied with fanaticism, not just the traditional fundamentalism we're so mindful of today, but that exemplified by some New Age cults, extreme eco-freaks, violent animal rights campaigners, and the like. And there will be individuals with the mindset of those who now unleash computer viruses. The global village will have its village idiots, and their idiocies can have global range. So the huge empowerment of individuals or small groups by fast-developing technologies presents novel hazards and will heighten the tensions between security, privacy, and freedom.